L-A-T-D Nation, what is good? Once again, we are back. And as you can see, the setup in here is a little bit different, kind of did something a little bit out of our usual. Welcome back to the second annual Halloween Spooktacular over here on L-A-T-D. If you were around for the last one last year, you know that we reviewed horror movies all month long, leading up to October 31st, that being Halloween, a day that everybody seems to universally regard as spooky. Or the spook, well, they call it the spooky season now.
Right.
The whole month of October leading up to Halloween is the spooky season now.
Right.
Yes, sir. So with that being said, our first movie, and what we're going to call this, let's call it, Woeful Wednesday.
Woeful Wednesday, yeah, man, because you got to stay woeful out there.
Yes, sir. But our first movie review for the month, and this is one that a lot of people have been anticipating. It's been kind of a buzz, talked about sort of movie. Good Boy. The new horror movie told from the perspective of a dog.
Right.
Which is a very interesting concept. I don't think it's ever been done ever before in the history of cinema, at least not to my knowledge.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think it has.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Which, that in and of itself, that was kind of a thing where I looked at, I'm like, wonder how they're going to do that. The trailer immediately had caught my eye. Apparently, the dog, Indy, is the actual dog of the director. And I was watching Chris Stuckman the other day. He said that this movie took about 400 days to film. Being as though, it's a dog actor, so you can't have the dog.
You're right,
the dog's not going to do everything you need him to do.
Right, yeah, I got you. Yeah, because right out the gate, one thing, I enjoyed this movie fairly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It was cool facts knowing that it was indie, and I like that we got to see another species perspective on horror movies.
For sure, because we've done the whole move into a haunted house in the middle of nowhere. We've done that trope before, but what makes this movie interesting and unique, like I said, is told from the perspective of a dog, and what it is a man and his a dog and his deathly sick owner move out to his abandoned grandfather's house.
Right.
A house that a lot of people, including his sister Vera, feels is responsible for their grandfather's untimely appearance. And the backstory is that when their grandfather was found dead, his dog, went missing. They never found the body or anything like that. So off the gate, it's a lot of parallels and it's a lot of similarities between Todd, his grandfather, and him and his situation.
Right. So, like I said, man, I really did think this movie was good. I enjoyed it. Nah, no pun intended. You know what I'm saying? Good boy. But it was. I thought, like I said, the dog's perspective was a nice little touch. Because one thing Jeremy Johns said that I watched his review too, he said that if the dog wasn't the main character, then this would have been another horror movie based on with the haunted house trope.
Yeah, I agree.
But I agree with you. It gave a unique experience that really I wouldn't say it was very complex in its themes. There wasn't really saying anything.
It was a pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
No pun intended. It was a pretty on the nose horror movie. My bad.
Yeah, true, but that's the only kind of good I can really say about it, because like you just said, it's very on the nose. It's a very simple storyline,
Very, very simple. It's told, being, as you said, from a dog's perspective, it's told in a very straightforward manner because, with it being the main character being a dog, you can only do so much. So the dog really has the task of sort of emoting and sort of expressing completely as a dog. There's no inner monologue. There's no inner dialogue. You don't hear the dog's voice in his head. It literally just is a regular dog.
Exactly. And that's why I feel like some people might find this movie a tad bit boring.
Okay.
At least I did at first, because I was just like, where is this going? It takes a minute to get there, because it has to set up the plot and everything, and I get that. But just to realize that the entity or whatever it is just this one little thing, and then that's how the character gets, that's what happened to the grandfather, and so on and so forth. I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay. This was cool. The ending was cool. I mean, like I said, it wasn't really much I can really say.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's really a movie where you can say a whole lot. That's why I haven't really seen a whole lot of like detailed reviews for it or anything like that. But for what is here, it is a good movie. Yeah. I think that it executes its concept well. I do feel like the dog Indy does a good job as a performer, quote unquote.
Right, yeah.
For how much a dog can, be an actor. I think that the emotions are conveyed well, and a lot of it really is just from the perspective of he's watching his owner become influenced and or overtaken by this entity that he doesn't understand. The dog doesn't understand, but he understands something is wrong.
Right.
So with that being said, that's where a lot of the heart and the soul comes from this movie for me.
I do like that you never really see any of the characters' faces.
Yeah.
I did like that too, because it's like the camera stays intentionally on the ground because we're following the dog literally and figuratively. I did like that aspect of it, but that also was kind of not hit or miss, but because I like the that aspect of it, but it was also kind of confusing sometimes because you couldn't tell if it was voiceover or not.
Yeah,
but that's really more of a nitpick thing. Visually, it's good. I like some of the fogginess in it, and
the atmosphere is really well executed. That's one thing. It does put you in the setting.
Yeah, sure. It makes you feel like you're in. Well, they're in the house, but it makes it feel like something ain't right from just off rip from getting to the house, because it's like when they get there, it's raining and everything. It's very eerie when you walk in the house, really just from the get go. And it's like the little monster appears in the form of like shadows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That Indy notices, that the dog notices, and I thought the red herrings and all the warnings and all the signs were done extremely well.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It does a good job of making you feel helpless as a dog that can't understand the situation.
Right, but he knows something. But like you said, he knows something ain't right.
Yeah, and he on the entity's ass for sure. That's one thing I really like about Indy. He never shows a lick of fear.
Right, he's
about his business.
Truth be told, he's smarter than most horror movie protagonists out there. Like,
tell you the truth, he really is.
Like, he's smarter than half these white people. I mean,
well, definitely. Anyway. To me, in a weird way, it reminds me of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah.
Reminds me of.
I was thinking like Scooby Doo with a more serious Scooby Doo.
Yeah, I feel like.
But Courage is definitely way as a better comparison.
I think for sure the director had to took some influence from it because it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because the owner Todd, I forgot who he was played by, which kind of don't matter. But the owner Todd was kind of like a version of Muriel who turns into Eustace by the end of the movie.
True.
Like, he's like very nice and kind of, the dog and everything, and he's like, get off me, damn it. And I'm like, so it's very much like Courage the Cowardly Dog. I agree with you.
And yeah, for that being said, I think that this movie will be most effective with people who are dog owners and people who are animal lovers. I think that's the type of person this movie targets the most. And I think that it does a good job of making you question, like, what if you were in this kind of situation, your dog was in a harrowing situation like that and you didn't understand it?
Right.
So that's where a lot of the emotional aspect of it was strongest and worked for me. But with that being said, I really don't have much to say. I give it about an 8. I give it an 8 out of 10.
I give it about a 7.
A 7, okay.
Yeah, like I said, the only reason it's a 7 is because I thought it was a little bit boring and it took a little long. Well, I mean, then again, I thought it was still boring, but I won't say it because of it took long to get. Because we just seeing this for the first time, so I get why it took a while to get to where it needed to go.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think I still found it just a tad bit boring. A little bit, but overall, I still liked it. It just wasn't an level 8 for me. It was more of a level 7.
I can agree with that, but regardless, I think this is a good start to the spooky season, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be a very productive Halloween, more so than last.
Yeah, I agree, especially because we got better decoration and stuff
for
too.
For sure. We're not playing around this Halloween. We're not playing around this October. So with that being said, look out for more videos.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be posting Shit, we'll try to get one out, at least 2 out every single week.
Right.
You got your Woeful Wednesdays, you got your Frightening Friday.
Or
be on the lookout for those.
Or a Terrifying Tuesday. We'll see.
Yeah, just stay on the lookout. But with that being said, I've been Rodney.
I've been Jay.
And we are L-A-T-D. Thank you for always tapping in with us. Like the video, share, comment, and we'll be back very, very shortly. Peace.